Hi there. I've been thinking. Okay, so here we are again, and it seems I'm sticking with the music theme for a little while. And the question I'm asking today is, were the Beatles, or are the Beatles, the greatest band of all time? If I were to ask that question amongst my contemporaries, I suspect a large majority of them would say yes. Indeed, if I asked them what's the greatest band of all time, they would probably say the Beatles. But I will say to you, no, the Beatles are not the greatest band of all time. And I don't say that because I don't like the Beatles or because the Beatles are terrible. I think they did lots of great stuff. And they did lots of really good stuff and lots of really popular stuff, which is not always the same thing. But the reason I say that the Beatles are not the greatest band of all time is because I don't believe any band is the greatest band of all time. Indeed, I believe that to claim that for any band is really just hyperbole. Every band is going to be good at some things and not so good at other things. A band might have a really great vocalist, a great guitarist. They might have great songwriters. They may be brilliant live performers. They may be experts in the studio, putting the music together, recording the music. There's a whole host of things. I mean, they could be great at this particular genre or that particular genre. They could be great at this period of their career, but perhaps not so great at that period of their career. So there is no band that's going to be the greatest band of all time. There are just bands that are good at some things, not so good at other things, good at some times, and not so good at other times. And I think you can extend that to pretty much any artistic endeavor, maybe even any human endeavor at all. For instance, don't ask me who was the greatest author of all time, because sometimes a particular author did good things, sometimes they did not so good things, or a painter, or an actor, or even a scientist. They all did good things, bad things, were strong in some areas and not so strong in other areas. I think the reason that people want to categorize such things, want to confront you with that question is because, in some way, I think they're asking you to take a side. You know, are you on the side of the Beatles or are you on the side of the Rolling Stones? Well, you know, you can actually like both and you can actually dislike some of what each of those bands do. The same with anything in any human endeavor. You don't actually have to come down on a particular thing, make a decision, say that's the best. Because once you do that, you then put yourself in a position where you have to defend that point of view, and you take a side. You become like a supporter of that team. Indeed, of course, that's a perfect example of it, isn't it? You know, of sports where you become a diehard supporter of a particular team, which gets transferred, unfortunately, to being a die-hard supporter of a particular political party. This is all about taking sides, declaring your position on something, and somehow being obliged to stick to that. Now, I don't think any of that's necessary. You can think, even in politics, you can think, well, there are some good things on both sides of politics. You know, that party has some good ideas about that. That party has some good ideas about that. You know, that sports team's really good at that particular thing, and they were really good at that time, but they're not so good now. Whatever. You know, there is no need to categorize something as the greatest this or the greatest that, because not only does that inevitably lead to arguments, I actually think that way of thinking is designed to create arguments. It's designed to create tribes. Now, we do that very easily in some very major ways that actually lead to war. And I really don't think we need to do that with something like music or artistic endeavors. There doesn't need to be a greatest band of all time, and you don't have to be faithful to an artist or a team or a political party for all time. You do not have to give your life to that cause. So, no, the Beatles are not the best band of all time. There is not and never will be the best band of all time. Anyway, just think about it. See you next time.